It's book club time, folks, and we are running a little bit late, as would be typical of my channel. But it is not normal New Comic Book Day book club. Alec is traveling. He has a Halloween activity going on this week, so we are sadly without a whale, but we got a dragon to replace him. That's pretty freaking awesome. It's Perry Comics and John's Comics with Kids doing AOK Book Club. This is the show where we gift members of the community books that either Perry and I love or that one of us love and we want the other one to find appreciation for. This week was a Middlewest joy, and I gotta say, TJ, I'm very grateful that you let me AOK you this trade.
It's no problem at all. It's my pleasure. I'm kind of happy you did. It's a good book.
I joked before we went live that it's perfect to have you on for this show because the first episode, the first time I talked about Middlewest on camera was Middlewest issue 1 for book club with Alec, and our guest was Thanatos, another good friend of yours and ours. It's almost like this perfect symbiotic circle that you would be the one to come on and talk about this book.
I'm very happy and honored that you invited me.
Now, Matt went crazy and bought issue 1, the rare Scotty Young variant in a 9/8, which for me, underrated book, undervalued book. Perry, do you have any of the key issues for this, or are you getting cover A across the line here?
I'm getting every cover I could find, pretty much. The first time I read the book, I went out. I'm like, all right. I went on eBay, and then I got the limit, 1 in 5, the 500, and then the other one, the Virgin one, and the 1 variant. So yeah, this is a book that I like a lot, and it's cool that finally I'm able to be on a show with TJ. After months of going back and forth in the chat, we meet at last.
Right. The circle is complete.
Oh, yeah.
The joking mockery circle has come full circle.
I like Perry.
The truth is, I joke with Perry, and I have a few different shows with Perry. The reason why I do this is because he's firstly somebody that's able to poke fun at himself and laugh at himself, which I clearly do really, really well. But second, I think he's somebody that understands that opinion doesn't make you love or hate somebody, right? I like Perry because of who he is on the inside. He's an amazing dad. He's an amazing community member. It has nothing to do with the fact that he thinks Deceased is good or that Brendan Fraser is a talented actor. It has nothing to do with any of that. It has to do with simply and purely he's a good guy. And I could care less about his opinions on other stuff. Agree, disagree, doesn't matter. He's just a good guy, and I enjoy spending time with him the same way as I enjoy spending time with TJ. Politics or whatever aside, it's just good time. So thank you for doing this show with me, Perry.
John's giving me a compliment. I know he's been drinking.
For those that don't know, I've been on screen for about 4 hours now. Not quite, but nearly 4 hours now. So yeah. It's an extended night of Boy Who Had 7 had a great fun show. Really enjoyed being on his costume themed Halloween themed show earlier. I jumped over to the Comic Core Unlimited show with Newsstand, Seawood, had a great time over there. And now we're here to talk Middlewest. I'm sad to say I don't have the trade yet, but of course I have all the individual issues. I think I collected through issue 11. And then moved over to trades at that point. Boy Who Had 7, you have nothing to be sorry for. It was phenomenal, and I had a blast, and it was great. And now we're here talking about Middlewest. So, TJ, when you heard I was gifting you this book, did you have any thoughts or reactions? Were you like, no way? Or was it like instant yes?
It was instant yes.
I'm excited to hear that.
Yeah. And it showed up really, really fast. I mean, uncanny fast. I mean, like the next day.
It was Amazon. That's Amazon for you.
Oh, yeah.
They were knocking on my door on a Sunday and delivering this. And it's like, what sorcery is this? It would have shown up that fast. I mean, literally, the next day.
They showed up. They're like, "You need to read this."
Well, it was the same with Biggie Shack. I think it arrived on a Sunday when I did Die with Biggie Shack, and he was like, "Okay, dude, they're not supposed to deliver stuff on Sunday. That's not how the mail system works." Versus Perry, did you finally deliver the book to Rod that we're supposed to do with Rod at some point?
I got it right there.
So the Perry mail system is a little slower.
It's the Pony Express, man. You get what you get.
So I think I want to start a little bit with that first issue, first read through for Middlewest. Those that don't know, this is a Scotty Young written, not drawn comic book. I think it's very underrated. And what I like about it is this. I feel like it's a building on Wizard of Oz sort of classic storytelling of living in the Midwest and going on an epic journey that is very out of the normal, right? And when we read the first issue, there was a lot of talk about parent issues and about living in the middle of the United States and going on an adventure. And I think stories like Wizard of Oz came up. There was a lot of discussion about that. Were there any stories for you, TJ, that came to mind when you started reading this trade? Any things that you referenced?
I was thinking more like more Lord of the Rings, but it's close to Wizard of Oz. Yeah,
Definitely.
Regular Quest. Also, I thought it was an epic story about loss in fathers and sons and dealing with the loss of their mother. Because I don't think in this trade exactly fully explains what actually happened to the mother. We don't know if she died or just left him.
Yep.
And I think that's one of the beauties of the writing is when a writer knows when to share pieces of information, right? Like they're holding back certain items and revealing other ones. And I think the mom storyline is one huge piece that they're holding back versus fathers and grandfathers, which is a big part of the first few trades or the first few story arcs of Middlewest. Perry, were there any touchstones for you as far as other comics or other movies or shows that you felt like you connected to when you were looking at? Because it's classic storytelling, right? Classic hero on a journey kind of stuff.
I felt like you could almost have that nostalgia, like you've seen something like this before, but I couldn't actually pinpoint exactly where. But it felt really cool, and I just gotta say, Scotty Young killing it. But George Corona, I never knew who this was, and as soon as you open the book, you get like these amazing splash pages, and it's like there's a couple of them per issue. I'm like, wow, this is freaking. Who is this guy?
Yeah, I didn't know who he was either, and the art is phenomenal.
Oh yeah,
throughout.
And I chose that exact picture you chose there to share as the thumbnail for this book. I think that the art, clearly Scotty Young knows art, right? Yep. He's going to pick an artist that is talented and that he feels like portrays his story well. And I agree, there are definitely pages that jump off at you and really like astound you. And for me, the sequences of at the very end of, I think it's issue 1, when he's jumping on the train and getting his heart, the touch to his chest, those moments that for me as a reader, not only set up story, but feel grounded in truth of parent-child relationships. Now, the center of the story, for those that don't know, is a little boy who has no mom in his life, but has a father, and that the relationship with dad is incredibly tumultuous at best. And we're watching son realize that what he's getting at home is not what he needs, and that he's going to go elsewhere to seek it out. And then it sets up what is potentially an ongoing storyline of son on the road, right? Son seeking out elsewhere what he needs. I love the road trip vibe that's going on here. Are you a fan of road trip stories, TJ? Like I love road trips.
Yes, I am. Yeah, I'm a big fan of road trip stories. Yes.
Right. I mean, you mentioned the Lord of the Rings, and I was like, yes, right? Like on the road, no plan. Let's see where this goes, right?
Yeah. And I also like the fact that the fox is kind of like a Jiminy the Cricket character, but with bad influences instead of positive ones. And they had a kind of a Pinocchio vibe too on that.
And we had discussions in that book club when we first read issue 1 of whether or not other characters could see the fox. Because issue 1, nobody references the fox but the boy. Nobody references. So the boy has this sort of what we call the familiar, right? This right. Animal sidekick character that can talk to him and he talks to it. And very Jiminy Cricket, good call, TJ. Like they have this relationship. But in issue 1, nobody acknowledges that this fox is even there. Issue 2, they throw that out the window. People are talking to the animal. They see the fox. They see the fox. It's not even an issue anymore. I will say I was a little bit bummed that it wasn't just simply in the kid's head, that it wasn't simply just this like relationship to the mythical that nobody else could acknowledge. But I also at the same time, I'm waiting for somebody else to have an animal familiar. Like nobody else seems to have.
And why do some animals talk and some don't?
Right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
How did you feel about that, Perry? Did you feel like, wait, this makes sense to me? Or were you like, okay, I got a trillion questions?
Well, was it the old man or the old woman who's talking to a crow?
The old man.
Both.
Yeah. So.
Oh, were they both?
Both.
Both of them. So it's like there are some creatures that you can talk with and some you can't, and it kind of paints this world up a little bit, so you kind of like get a better understanding because you're reading the book and it seems like a typical kid's book, like not a kid's book, but you see the kid go down to the store, he's dealing with problems with other kids, they're like, setting him up, and it like paints this whole story, and then all of a sudden everything just turns left, and it's like, all right, this book just got crazy.
but I want the rules. Why do some animals talk and some don't?
And I will say that was one of the big issues Alec, Matt, and I had reading issue 1 was we were like, okay, I want to understand, why does this animal talk to the boy? Why do no other animals talk? Can anybody see this animal? And I think it's both the genius of the story and the drawback that we're only getting bits and pieces all the way along. Yeah. For me.
Yeah, because the animals could have been made with magic to talk, and some weren't, and we don't know that because magic plays a big part in this universe.
Yeah, I think magic in this universe is, I don't want to say ill-defined, but underdefined. And I think little by little, whether it's the sort of grandfathery wizard character that comes in the end of this trade or the middle of this trade, or the woman at the, I hesitate to call it a fair, but certainly this carnival that's traveling around.
Which is his sister, yes.
Yeah. And the way they use magic versus the way the father and son have this sort of magical ability versus the fox character that has clearly some powers.
And of course, I want to know where that cloud storm creature has come from and what it is. And it kind of leaves you on a cliffhanger at the end of this.
Oh, yeah.
So I know, TJ, right after I sent this to you, you were like, dude, I can't wait to talk about this. This is amazing. I love this. I got to get trade number 2. I got to get trade number 3. How far have you gone so far with this?
Just this.
You haven't gotten trade number 2?
No.
I might be AOKing you later tonight. I'm just telling you. I'm warning you now.
It doesn't come out to November, I heard.
Oh, it's not till November.
Yeah. Well, that's what you told me.
All right, well, call it an early Christmas present. Be prepared.
Yeah, because you looked it up and it said, oh, this doesn't come out to November.
So then, Perry, how about you? How far have you gone with this?
I think I'm on like a issue 8 or 9, but I've been picking them up because it's in my pull box. So I have everything. I just need to find time to sit down and catch up on it.
So you bought the trade and then you started pulling issues for the later portion.
Oh, no. I've been pulling it since issue 1. I walked into the bookstore and I seen the trade for $10 and I wanted to reread it. So I just took it because I don't want to like flip through the comics again. I got everything put up. So
but your LCS had issues 1 through 6 on the shelf?
Yeah. I already had everything. Yeah.
Because my LCS, my LCS is out of issues 1, 2, and 3. Nothing. All gone.
What are they up to though?
I want to say issue 11 or 12 dropped
Oh,
recently.
wow.
Yeah.
I think last week.
Yeah, just last week they had an issue drop.
Yeah, I had it somewhere.
Is it still popular?
I think so. I
think so,
still hear people posting and talking about it. I stopped pulling it because I was trying to control my pull list a little bit. And I was like, I'm buying the trades. I want to keep reading it, but I don't want to buy the issues week to week. And I love the way Image does their trades. So I was just buying the trades.
Yeah, I like the Image trades. Like I did, what was it, Oblivion Song?
Yeah.
And it's like you could open the trade and it's like you almost don't know where the issues end and you just keep reading. I like it. I like it a lot.
Definitely.
I read the whole trade in one sitting.
Oh, yeah.
Like, I couldn't stop.
I remember because
awesome.
you were instantly, I think it was that same Sunday or Monday, you were like,
Yeah.
let's do it. When are we doing this show? We got to do
Yeah.
this show. And I'm sorry it took so long to actually schedule this.
Yeah. It's one of the best stories I've read in a long time. I mean,
heck yeah.
it's really good. I can't wait to see a movie. It's like that. It's that good. I mean, I want to see this on film.
And I will say it was one of the earliest unanimous decisions on a book club episode with Alec, I, and our guest all agreeing this is amazing. It was like this and Die were like the early, everybody just agreed, read this freaking comic book because it's that freaking good.
Yeah, there's just, two other things I want to get a trades for is Die because I haven't read that, and Little Birds.
Well, now your Christmas AOK just got a little bit bigger. I'm just saying.
Keep talking.
Let me shout out some folks in the chat because I'm sorry I haven't done it yet. But Borinkin Comics, and Old Wolf, Chris Barrett, Ben Compton. These are some of the people that are always early to my shows, along with obviously the Lurker and the Dragon. I really appreciate you guys all coming by and saying hello. Then it gets into all the people that were on the Boy Who Had Seven's crazy costume show. I got Bear Island in there. I got JP in there. And then of course the Boy Who Had Seven, Count One Strange and Jabroni in the chat. Four Horsemen.
Yep.
Shout out to you guys. Boy Who Had Seven, I agree. I always love seeing TJ live. We need more of that. Absolutely. The Stranger Things coming hopefully a little more regularly to the Comic Core channel, so keep an eye out for that. Bear Island says he lives in Middlewest, USA, just like TJ. So shout out to the Middlewest.
Yep.
Z Collects is here to support Perry. Nobody's here for that. Come on, Z. What are you doing here? Come on, man. Let's see. Did I miss Aggressively Relaxing and HAQ? And of course, Rod. Any chat Rod enters, he says, hit the like and share the content. So I appreciate you saying that, brother. And did I miss anybody? Chad, I shouted out Barbarian Kung Fu. The girl has the robot. I don't know what that means. Oh, the girl at the carnival with the robot creature that she has. We haven't gotten to the carnival too much yet, so shout out to you.
It reminded me of Melvin the robot from what is that show?
I was thinking of Lost in Space. It reminded me of Lost in Space and the boy, Will Robinson and his robot. It reminded me of that relationship a little to me.
Don't panic is their catchphrase. One of the books is So Long and Thanks for All the Fish. Douglas Adams wrote it.
Oh, is this oh gosh. Hitchhiker's Guide to the Galaxy?
Yes.
Oh, yes. That's a good one.
That's what reminded that robot.
I'm sorry that it took me that long to remember it. Barbarian Kung Fu gave me a great AOK, and if you haven't seen it, you can check out Alec's channel. I was on with the chili pepper episode, and when Alec lost his cool eating chili peppers, I shared an AOK from the Barbarian Kung Fu, and it was really awesome. Thank you, brother. Let's see here. Lots of people counting out numbers. What are the numbers for? Anybody?
What do the numbers mean?
Yeah, I see 11. I see 12. Thank you, Comic Core Chad. Although this might be JD who was doing a show on the Comic Core. It's hard to know who who the Comic Core is. So shout out to them. Take the Time Collectibles gave me a great set of the Criminal Brubaker run, and I'm reading through those. So thank you. Nice to see you in here as well. John, it's not an AOK. It's for Christmas. I guess is there a difference between giving a gift at Christmas and an AOK?
No.
I guess it's just time of the year, right?
Yeah, a gift is a gift.
You have to wrap the AOK in Christmas paper.
Right.
You have to make the wrapping look nice.
Speaking of gifts, I want to give a quick shout out to this guy for giving 40 pounds of comic books to the Comic Core. They're doing these epic Dragonheart boxes. If you don't know what's going on, check out the Comic Core Unlimited show tonight, because we went through and shared a ton of what those books might be and what those boxes might look like. They all go to help an amazing cause. A little girl named Moira, who is the daughter of Paul the Midwest comic man. So just go and check that show out if you haven't. I just want to give a little bit of love there and to thank this guy, TJ, for giving books from his own collection to help somebody else.
It's my pleasure. And probably about 90% of those were handpicked, day of release, put away, never read. They're really in good condition.
And so much great Michael Turner goodness in there. I was like, great book, Turner book. I was like, drink. So many good books in there.
Yep.
So if you want to know more about those, just watch the Core channel. They're going to be showing you those boxes, how to get them, and what that cause is for. So I'm going to get back to Middlewest. Some people talking about what I would call the wizard characters, the ones that are guiding the hero. We've got the grandpa in the crazy treehouse bus home, and then we've got the grandma at the carnival fairgrounds group. Who do you think has this boy's best interest at heart, Perry? Who do you think has who is looking out for the boy more?
I think I want to say the old man from the beginning, because he knows he has to send. Whoa. Which old man? You mean the dad?
No, not dad.
Not the dad. So the old guy with the hat that lives in the
Yes.
junkyard. Yeah. So he knew he had to send the boy to the lady in the circus, even though he's not friends with her. That's how much he wants to help, that he would send to someone who even doesn't like him, just to see if she could help heal him.
Yeah.
So I think in that regard, that kind of gives him like he did something that he didn't have to do.
I didn't feel like they don't like each other. I mean, they're family. They're having a problem with each other, but they're still family.
Yeah.
I like the beauty of a family that is very fractured, but not separated.
Yep.
Right? And this is the grandmother character that comes in a little bit later, because she's at the carnival with the little girl and her robot, which is very Iron Giant-esque. I'm a huge Iron Giant fan. I freaking love this robot.
I've never seen that movie.
Oh, wow.
I'm telling you right now, TJ.
I've seen that one.
So I usually don't say this anymore because Perry makes fun of me, but in film school.
Oh, my God. Oh, it's been months since I heard about film school.
Right? We had a class where we would watch movies before they came out in theaters, and somebody from the movie would come. So we had an editor for Iron Giant come. We had all these jaded, freaking tattooed, smoking filmmakers all sitting in a room watching a kid's animated movie. I've never seen so many grown men crying in a movie theater. I mean, they were all just like, oh my God, this movie's amazing. It's unbelievable. It was like E.T. for the next generation. I mean, it is that good. It is legitimately that good. You will be blown away. This is Brad Bird, who went on to do The Incredibles and Ratatouille, and just a really talented filmmaker, writer, doing animation at its top peak. And so, yeah, shout out to the Iron Giant. But what I loved about this character is just the style of the way he looked, the throwback to old 50s and 40s movies, the giant one eye. I freaking love the whole thing. Chris Barrett says Iron Giant was voiced by Vin Diesel. It is, even though he really only says like 2 or 3 lines the whole movie. It's very Groot-esque. Great character.
The robot's personality is what I like the best because it's very down and sarcastic. That's why it reminded me of Hitchhiker's Guide, the robot there, because that's kind of humor I like. Dark and sarcastic.
Shout out to TJ saying, great to see TJ on the book club. I absolutely agree. Everybody needs more TJ. Perry, do you feel like there's a character outside of the main character? Is there a character you're like, I need more of this character?
Well, I was going to show you one of my favorite parts is this giant splash page where they get to the bridge, which, pretty cool.
Yeah.
But then they see a troll.
That's issue 2?
There's a troll under the bridge. I thought that was the funniest thing in the world.
It's a throwback to like folk tales and like children.
Yeah, like I want to see like more of that, like the in-between adventures doing things, Because there's things that happen going from point A to point B, and it's like this is one of them, like a filler episode almost, but like it's so little in the book that nobody ever talks about the troll on the bridge. I thought that part was awesome, and then the way they drew this troll, it just looks so freaking cool. I was digging it. I was like, all right, I want to see more of these like little, like you said, folklore, fairy tale creatures, like evil creatures.
And for me, it was like this like owl skeleton
on the train,
character on the train was just like creepy and cool. And I will say what I love about the book all the way through is things feel both familiar and connected to what I've already known, but also totally original and placed in a whole new variety or form for me that I'm just blown away by. Which is hard to pull off, I feel like. Silence.
I was reading Old Wolf. He said John is now in pain. John is telling a story about film school. Oh,
I try not to do that, Old Wolf. I try not to. Every time Perry hasn't seen something, I think, ugh, butters. Go buy World of Warcraft, install it on your computer, and join the online sensation before we all murder you. Oh, that's really relaxing. Vin Diesel can give a very one-note character depth. That's a great shout-out, and it's perfectly covering Perry, so it's fine for me.
But can he do Bloodshot any justice?
Ooh.
God, that's why we need more of this guy everywhere. Great comment. Absolutely true. So, Perry, you've only read what? Where are you stopping so far?
I want to say like I was at 8 or 9. I just need to catch up.
I'm curious. So this storyline, you've got the boy running away. You've got him running into the wizard character, the sort of grandfatherly character, and then joining the circus, running away very Pinocchio-like to join the circus. Do you have? I mean, I don't like. One of the things we teach my kids in elementary school when they're reading is how do you predict what will happen? Do you have predictions about where you hope this story might go, TJ?
Not really, because I'm really not sure where it's going. It's really so much more to cover, like what that creature is that's taken over the father, how it's connected to the son and infecting him. Why is it doing that? What's the why? It seems like the father doesn't like his son, but really loves his son, and so much contradictions and so much more to tell. And it's just, I don't know where it's going, but I'm really excited to see.
Now, Perry, you've gone a little bit further. How about you? Do you have predictions or thoughts about this story and where it might lead?
No, like he was saying, I don't know what's happening. Like I'll finish the book and I'm like, I have no idea what's going to come next, even page to page, because it has that fantasy element. So something crazy out of left field can just happen at a drop of a dime. So I want to know what that pink liquid is that's keeping everything running everywhere. I'm like so curious about this because everyone has it. It's on every type of motor vehicle device. it's everywhere, and it's like they don't really explain what that is because it's so prominent. Like it's that bright hot pink.
So for those that don't know, like one of the things that I think is fun, and we talked about a little bit on the book club with Alec and Thanatos, is the idea that there's these fun little pink water bottles, almost like feeder tubes that you'd have for your, hamster or whatever at your house.
Mm-hmm.
And they're attached to buildings everywhere. It's a fun way that we kept commenting on, like how this universe is like, it's very like ours, but then just there's this twist, there's this thing, and I really dig the ways they take what's normal for us and then just dirty it up a little bit, right?
Oh yeah.
Okay, so let's get to the theme. I think TJ hit on it beautifully. It's this father-son relationship, child abuse, maybe, but certainly a father-son relationship is the core of this story. If you look at the trade there over TJ's shoulder, you get this father with his back turned, this dark, almost like silhouette where you can't understand or picture dad because we are relating to the kid. And from the kid's perspective, he's just a brute. Mm-hmm. There's this fun layer of father-son relationships going on here. What father-son stories do you feel like you drew from that you were, okay, wow, like I see a father-son relationship here that I get? For me, I went, like always, to Lost, and it's like father-son world. Everybody is father-son in there, right? It's like, I think they even have an episode called "All the Best Cowboys Have Daddy Issues," and it's this idea that father-son stories are iconic, right? That they're emblematic of whether you want to call it Americana or just storytelling in general. Was there any stories that you jumped to, Perry, when you were like, okay, this reminds me of a father-son that I've seen before?
Not that I could think of off the top of my head. But the father reminded me of like the Hulk, because it's like he gets angry and gets into a pretty big argument. He's upset, and then he turns into this crazy creature. And then when everything's all said and done and he's back to normal, he's like, he feels bad for his son. He can't be out there, and he's worried, like a completely different person. Yeah. So that kind of reminded me of, because I remember Hulk, he gets angry, he comes back, he's like, what did I do? I didn't,
Well, and another AOK book club. The original AOK book club was Immortal Hulk, and that's a story all about, over the course of almost 20 issues, where they're discussing the relationship between Bruce and his dad and how that warped family system in many ways created the Hulk character. Yeah. So that's a great comment. I absolutely agree. Phenomenal, Perry. And when you read the rest of Immortal, you'll finally get there.
Now, I was all set not to like the dad until that bike showed up, because the kid thinks the bike is from his mom. That bike is not from his mom. That bike is from his dad. And he's just telling him it's from his mom. And that means the dad actually loves his kid. He's just not an asshole. He just doesn't know how to handle his emotions. And I really am hoping the father and son thing turns out all right in the end. But it doesn't look at, from the way this ends in this trade, don't know if that's what's going to happen. But I think there's a serious love there that no one knows how to use.
Well, shout out to Old Wolf. He says he loves the way the father is shown in the latest issue, and I haven't read that one. I think Perry, Perry and TJ are spot on in that dad has a lot more going on. There's a lot of jokes about Gatorade and soda going on in the chat here, comparing characters. My sister works for Coca-Cola, so Old Wolf, we might be on either sides of a spectrum here. I just want to, she's worked for them for almost 20, 30 years. So.
Oh, Coke all day, all the time.
Look at this guy. What I do love, and I think, TJ, you mentioned it right at the beginning, was that nobody is a single note. right? No, every character that you think okay, I read issue 1, I get dad's the abuser, son's the victim, whatever. It quickly flips those scripts on us, and we get a dad who has a heart and a son who has his own personal issues that he's trying to overcome. That was my favorite part. The kindly old grandpa wizard, he's not all that sweet, and there's definitely something else going on with grandpa. For me, I love when a character shows you one side, and then within a few pages, you're like, oh, crap. I thought I had figured it out, but it's a whole other thing. Does that make sense to what you're thinking, Perry? Did you see it that way?
I think so, yeah. I don't know. Reading this book, it's like I feel like, yeah, like as the book progresses, I feel differently about different characters. And yeah, no, I think it's, I don't know. I like the way they they had, like, I felt so bad for the kid in the beginning, and then I hated the father, and then by the end of the first trade, by the end of issue 6, I'm like, all right, I don't hate this dad. I want to know what's going on, and it just, yeah.
And then obviously for me, the violence side, right? You have the scars of abuse. I think it's beautifully shown both like visually in what's happening to the boy, but emotionally in how he's reacting to things going on around him. How do you feel about that, the kid as a character relating to his dad, TJ? Like, that part of the story for me is obviously the centerpiece, but I think there's a lot to explore there.
I think there was more emotional abuse and physical abuse, except for the time he gets slapped. But kid kind of deserved it a little bit. Right. My dad would have done probably worse than that dad. But and God knows my mom would have done way worse than that dad.
My mom raised 3 boys, and it was towards the end, it was a fist household.
Yes. But I think it all is going to go back to the mother. I think all the roots of all the problems that those two are having is going to go back to what happened to the mother. Because I think there's way more to that than that's been revealed yet. Mm-hmm. Whatever happened to her is what's causing the dad's anger issues, and the kid just reminds him of her all the time.
And now they're both missing something, right? Yes. You have a son missing a portion of who he is has his identity, and a father missing this affection outlet, right? And I think that it's affecting both of them in a huge way. And for me, like, I will legitimately tell you that I was upset to find that the fox character, this sort of familiar, was real. Part of me really wanted it to be in his mind. Did either of you go through that like journey at all?
Well, I was a little thrown when I was reading it and everything seems kind of normal. And then the fox starts talking, and I'm like, "Oh, I'm not in Kansas anymore." and I always thought the fox was real, though. I didn't think it was just a figment. I thought it was just, well, this is not my planet.
Well, I figured he was real. I just wanted it to be something that only the kid could see, like it was somehow manifested from the kid or in relationship to the kid. The second it was like everybody sees him and hears him,
yeah,
it robbed it of something for me. I don't know.
I didn't miss that at all, because I from the first panel I thought everyone could see it, and I just took it that way.
What about you, Perry? How did you feel about
I thought, because I think I remember book club when you guys talked about this, and I was like, you know what, maybe he's right, because I was thinking, who has a fox for a pet, let alone a kid? You know, something like this has to be something he just mustered up in his thoughts, and now it's manifested in front of him. I don't know, but then he started talking to other people and stuff. I'm like, all right, so this is going on now.
It didn't ruin it, but for me, it was like, and it was clearly a bet on me. Like every once in a while, you read a book and you have expectations, right? And you're like, okay, I want it to go this way, or I think it's going to go this way. And when it doesn't, either you're invigorated, right? You're like, ooh, I didn't see that coming. What a great twist. Or you're like, come on, it was supposed to go this way. What are you doing to me? And this was one of those moments where it was like a little bit more on the come on side. Like I wanted it to go another way. And then it goes into the girl and her robot. By then we're at the girl and her robot, right? And she's got this familiar, this mechanical familiar of hers. This is what issue 4. And he's got this animal familiar that he's utilizing. And they both have sort of elderly people guiding them. It's whether you call it Wizard of Oz or Star Wars or whatever, there's a classic storytelling element going on here that I really dug. Teacher, student, friend, and the way they twist those relationships, because it's not what you think it's going to be, right?
Yeah, and there's even some Mark Twain in there for the journey part. It's like it has everything, and it's really original take on all that material. And I just love the journey. If nothing else, if they kept doing the journey thing and never resolved the father issues, I'd still be happy reading it.
Right.
To see what they come up with next.
Definitely. How about you, Perry? The teacher, student, friend triangle. How were you feeling about? Because there's several of them mixed in here.
Well, yeah, I mean, I don't know. I could see almost because it's like a child and a bunch of adults, and they're all kind of like teachers in a way, you know, just because they're older. But I had a question. You said Mark Twain. Was he an author?
Yes.
Or did he write poems? I can't remember. I know there's a Mark Twain cigar.
A poem. I can't hear you, John. I can't hear you, John. I can't hear you, John.
So I removed TJ. I removed Perry from the stream.
Yeah.
Mark Twain. For those that don't know, we're talking about Tom Sawyer, an amazing novel, great, amazing novel, and then the superior sequel, all-time great study of Americana and slavery, Huckleberry Finn, The Adventures of Huckleberry Finn, an amazing sequel novel. There's been many movies, many sort of reinventions, but these are all-time great books.
Yeah.
And it's a great comment.
His essays were sarcastic and wonderful. Yeah.
And great looks at coming of age, right? Yes. Young people with mentors that they are both heeding and ignoring. And whether they are teachers who are saying you have to do it this way, or whether in the case of Huckleberry Finn, a runaway slave trying to give advice to a young boy without a family, like they are great examples of young people trying to make decisions for themselves and adults trying to give advice, which is exactly what this is in many ways. So sorry to tease you, Perry, but like, holy crap.
No, I mean, the name sounded familiar. I'm like, I think this might be like a poet.
He made a guest appearance on Star Trek The Next Generation. You might want to check that out.
I'm going to do this. Here's what I'm going to do. There are 13 people in the chat, and I'm going to give a gift to the one person in the chat who can first tell me the actual name of Mark Twain. I'm a big Twain fan, and I'm getting teary-eyed, actually, just thinking about it right now. My wife knows the name. She's saying it right now. My wife is right there. If you can tell me the actual names, Mark Twain is a pen name, a nom de plume. And if you can tell me his real name, I will give you a gift. I don't know what it's going to be, but I'm going to give a gift. Oh, Patrick Wall. I love you. He even gave me the freaking middle name. Do you know his middle name, my wife? It's the name of a kind of cow. Longhorn.
Yes.
Samuel, he didn't spell Samuel right, but I don't give a crap. Samuel Clemens is the real name. Patrick Wall, I hope you have Instagram. Just send me a message on Instagram, Patrick Wall. I am John's Comics with. If you don't, leave a comment on this video with your email address, and I'll send you an email. I'm going to send you something, Patrick. Samuel Clemens is an all-time great. Short stories, long form, all-time great. He is Americana. Like there's just nobody else. So skipping all of that, what's great about the relationship between Middlewest and Samuel Clemens or Mark Twain is this idea of a young person on a journey and all these people trying to give guidance, but the young person doesn't give a crap because the young person is going to do what they want to do. They're guided by an internal logic, right? Yep. It's the same with Luke and Obi-Wan. It's the same with, Dorothy and the Good Witch. It doesn't matter. They are driven by an internal logic. Yeah. And it's the same with this little boy and all these guiding logics going around. Extra credit for the middle name, says Dave Enrique. Please, okay, Perry Mark Twain. Oh, Tony, I love you, brother. I absolutely love you. Rockstar says geek aficionado.
I have to admit, though, Mark Twain is not an easy read for modern day society because it uses an older language and it's a little more difficult.
Yeah. And even I had students when I taught 5th grade, I had students reading Huckleberry Finn and Tom Sawyer, and not easy, very challenging. Even and especially when Twain writes the slave character and the way he speaks, because he speaks a sort of broken English that he's learned working on a plantation, and it's both beautiful, tragic, and difficult for a reader to read the language that a slave would be trying to speak from what they learned, because it's just growing up on a plantation.
And even the other characters, it's just an older style of talking that is not used in modern day society. It's still easier than Shakespeare, but it's still a hard read. Yeah.
And I think that the beauty of Twain too was that you would have his teacher have one way of speaking. Yeah. Tom and Huck would have one way of speaking.
Yes.
And then the slave would have his way of. Everybody had their own voice.
And Twain nailed all of them. Yeah,
absolutely. And then the little girls that Mark and Huck, that Tom and Huck knew. I mean, it's all really beautiful. And then so was Shakespeare, says Dave Enrique. So he's right there with you, TJ. I think what that first book club and what this book club keeps coming back to is like classic storytelling. Obviously, when it comes to AOK Book Club, the question of the day is, would you read more of this?
Yes.
TJ?
Yes. I mean, this is an epic story. I really, really want to see where it goes. I mean, this could be an incredible series of movies. I don't think one movie can do this justice. I think it's going to be like a 3-parter, like Lord of the Rings type of a movie situation. I really want to see this on the big screen. I really want to read more of this and see where this is going. I hope it doesn't drag on forever because I want this story to have a nice ending and wrap it up. But I also don't want it to end it too soon because I'm really enjoying the journey. And I don't feel that way about a lot of books.
Neither do I. I mean, especially like modern. I don't want to, obviously Perry and I had the debate. Indie, is it an image? Or image, is it an indie book?
It's indie.
Thank you.
Sorry.
Look,
the dragon
he's right here with us, Perry. He's with us.
No, It's still an independent company. It might be on the higher end of it, but it is still an independent company. Unless you're Marvel or DC, you're independent.
And that was the joke that Seawood played on me a few times, was when I would say that Vertigo was an indie. He'd be like, no, that's under the umbrella of DC. You don't get to call that an indie.
No, that's DC.
I'd be like, oh, I bought this great indie, and he's like, John, that's a Vertigo book. That doesn't count.
Yeah, that's called Black Label indie. No, Black Label is still DC. Yeah.
Right.
Yeah. It's a division of. Yeah.
So Perry, I'm assuming you're the same way since it's on your pull list now. Have you removed it from your pull list? Are you buying trades? Or are you just still a single issue?
No, it's still on the pull list. I'm still enjoying it. One thing I like about this is I was enjoying Scotty Young's artwork for a long time, and then I read I Hate Fairyland, and I was like, that's really good. And then I heard about this book being released like in a week or two. So I decided to read this, and man, what a great book, man. Seeing someone who's an amazing artist also be able to transcribe that into amazing writing, I think that's a very unique talent, and Scotty Young possesses that.
Yeah. I didn't know he could write. I didn't.
Me neither.
He can write.
Oh, yeah.
He's really good.
Yeah, I think that there's very few people that can do both, and I think the birth of Image Comics kind of proved that that you could be a great artist, really talented at drawing, and not know crap about how to tell a good story. And I love Jim Lee, but Wildcats was a failure for one reason. It was not the art. And I think that what was cool about this was that Scotty chose not to do the art for it.
Mm-hmm.
Yes.
And he took a step back and even didn't do a cover A or B, but instead did this sort of rare incentive variant, which is the one that Thanatos, or Matt, if you don't know his channel, he went after that variant. And I think it's a book that has staying power. I don't know if anybody is going, I don't know where the price is on it these days, but if you're a Middlewest fan,
it's a $300 book.
300.
Yep.
Wow. I think
that's the Go Collect 300. Yep.
Okay, it's a book that I think has some staying power, much like a Die issue 1 or a. I mean, I don't want to say Walking Dead issue 1, but certainly an Image number 1.
Yeah,
this is a book that I think has some staying value and some. You should look into it if you're a big fan of Middlewest.
Yeah. And it has the same power, just like Saga. Yeah,
great comparison. Yeah.
And if the movie ever comes out and it's really good, it's going to go through the roof.
And I think this is a story that could easily become a fun animated film or an animated series.
Oh no, CGI is good. Live action.
I want the Miyazaki version of this. For those, he's a Japanese animation filmmaker of the top tier who actually has a company that hand freaking draws every panel.
Wow.
A movie is made, for those who don't know, of 24 frames every second, which means an artist would have to draw 24 pictures for every second of a movie. And his company does this. Nobody does this anymore. But Miyazaki does this. We're talking Princess Mononoke, Spirited Away, Howl's Moving Castle,
right. But
My Neighbor Totoro, which my girls freaking love. He's amazing. And I want the freaking Miyazaki Middlewest. That's what I freaking want.
But I think he just recently passed away.
I'm fucking checking this out. I don't even swear on my channel.
Oh, man, I was going to say.
That would be the worst news I've gotten in months.
Oh, no.
I'm sorry.
Hayao Miyazaki. I'm on his page. Japanese animation. I'm going to his Wikipedia. This would be really bad. Howl's Moving Castle is amazing. Patrick Wall. It is my personal favorite of his films. It has a born and no death date on Wikipedia.
I swear to God, I saw the article.
I don't see it on here. As of right now, I don't see it. I'm calling it not actual. I'm gonna even type into Google, is he alive? Is Miyazaki dead? It doesn't have a death date. I found an article though. Dies at age. No, Ayao Takahashi. No, it's a different artist for Miyazaki films. Okay, he was a legendary animated director who worked along Hayao Miyazaki, and he died at age 82. Okay. Guys.
He must have worked in the same films then. Yeah.
I'm just breathing again.
Take a breath.
Still sad. Still sad. I'm not saying it's good news. I'm not saying it's good news.
Because they showed the Spirited Away. I said, oh, no.
So for Perry, I'm really just talking to Perry right now because everybody else in the chat knows who Hayao Miyazaki is. Yeah, absolutely phenomenal. If your kids have never seen My Neighbor Totoro,
nope.
That's it. That's it. You don't need anything else. You go find that movie, do a digital download, you rent it, buy, whatever. Your kids will freaking love it. It is phenomenal. It has a freaking cat bus. You don't need anything else. There's a bus that's a cat and people can ride it. Done. It's amazing. And then, of course, you can find Spirited Away, Howl's Moving Castle, Princess Mononoke, a great filmmaker who I think would kill Middlewest and make it an amazing film. I want an actual hand-drawn animated version. I don't want digital. I don't want any of that. I don't want any of it. No Pixar version. But that's what I want from
I
here.
would have let someone like Del Toro do this. Pan's Labyrinth style.
That's a whole other layer that just went deeper for me. Perry, could you see a film or animated version of this?
Sure. Yeah. No, as you're reading it, it kind of almost feel like some of the panels are moving. You know, like it's the book is really good, you know, and it flows very well. And yeah, you know, with the way people can, I guess, draw and do animation, sure, why not? I mean, the book's that good. You got a script right here.
TJ, Take the Time Collectibles was throwing out that Neil Adams, his Batman writing was painful.
Neil Adams cannot write. Have you ever read Batman the Odyssey? It makes no sense. He's my favorite artist of all time. He's a god in art. But stop writing, please. Stop writing.
So there's definitely people who have the talent for art or the talent for writing. I do think, like TJ said earlier, that it's rare to have somebody who has the talent for both. And this might be a guy who has both. I don't know that Scotty Young has written anything besides Middlewest, though.
Oh, I Hate Fairyland.
Oh, he wrote that, didn't he?
Yeah. Which is, I think it's like 20-something issues deep already.
And I've never read it. How much have you read of that, Perry?
I read like the 1 or 2 issues. It's kind of like that new one that just came out. The new fighting book on Image. No.
All I think of is Money Shot right now.
Well, another artist that has tried writing is John Byrne, and he's better than Neil Adams is at writing, but he's not great. And
you know, I was watching the BS show Bueller and Sam today, and Sam shouted. I asked that question in the chat. I said, "Sam, who is your favorite writer?" And he said John Byrne.
Really?
That was his favorite. He said he had a couple after that. You know, he said Stan Lee would make the top 5, and he had a couple others, but he shouted out John Byrne. And in my head, I thought, crap, I need to read some John Byrne. I don't know that I know for sure what specific issues he's written.
Yeah. I've never been a big fan of it. Like when you read the Superman book.
Okay.
I just thought the writing was all right, but it wasn't spectacular. I mean, someone else could have done a better job, I thought, and he should stick with drawing. And I think his art suffers when he writes because he's trying to do too much at once.
Well, so that kind of wraps up what we're talking about here. I've got the 8 or 10 issues I've collected from this story run, and I'm definitely going to be getting the second trade so that I can have the books to read going forward. I'm AOKing this guy some trade number 2. This guy's got it on his pull list. I'm still seeing people post it all over Instagram and talk about it on their YouTube channels and whatnot. I think it's a great read. If you haven't tried Middlewest, definitely take a chance on it. I think it's those image trades, which I love that Perry's always pointing out. $9.99, right? You just get the first set of stories for just almost dirt cheap, less than 2 issues in some cases, and then you can enjoy it.
Yeah, I think Drew likes Middlewest too. I've seen some of his reviews, and they were good.
Yeah. So definitely something worth checking out. Ooh, Scotty Young's Deadpool is great. He had big shoes to fill, but he nailed it. Ooh, wow. Aggressively relaxing. Thank you very much. Ooh, Perez. Shout out for George Perez doing both.
Oh, wow.
So that's it for AOK Book Club for tonight. I want to shout out to Rod Just the Rican because he is soon to be, when the Perry mail arrives, the newest addition to the AOK Book Club collection. So keep your eyes out for what he gets and what trade we'll be talking about next, because it might be a book you really love. TJ, thanks for firstly letting me AOK you. Not an easy task.
No.
Secondly, for coming on and talking to us about it.
Heck yeah.
You're quite welcome. Thank you. I mean, I'm very happy to be here.
Even though Perry's here?
Yeah. Yeah, even though Perry's here. Yeah.
Those of you in the chat, thank you for coming by. I still got about 10 or 15 people in here. I really appreciate it.
Heck yeah.
Leave a comment below if you think there's a book that you think we should be sending out. We've done Immortal Hulk. We've done Middlewest. We've done Oblivion Song. There's so many great books out there. It's fun to gift somebody something that they've never read that either Perry and I or both of us really enjoy. So
a Little Bird.
Chirp, chirp.
Have you read Little Bird, Perry?
I read the first issue.
Because I think I know a buddy of mine who has a lot of Little Bird love. So that bird might fly its way through the comic community at some point.
Yeah. Because I know nothing about it. I would like to hear about it.
Well, and I think also there is not nearly enough talk about Little Bird. It's a great comment because I think issue 1 got a lot of talk. The finishing of that run got like a big donut. Even though I tried convincing a pal of mine to talk about it a bunch, it was a lot of still water.
I heard the ending was good, though.
I loved the ending. I thought it was perfectly fitting with what they'd done before.
Yeah.
Definitely. So thank you.
Someone's killing the children. Something's killing the children. It's still good because it sounds interesting.
I've read the first 2 issues. I think Perry has read the first 2 issues. I really enjoyed them. Here's the Little Bird artist variant for issue 2. There's issue 1. I got that great Frizen cover. Oh, yeah. How much have you read, Perry?
I didn't read it yet. I asked you about it, and you're like, "Yeah, it's okay." So
issue 1 is phenomenal.
Oh,
issue 2 I really liked. I'm curious where issue 3 goes. I'm getting issue 3.
Ooh.
I have to get the trade of this because I need to read this.
Doug's freaking awesome.
That's Planet of the Apes and Green Lantern.
Apes with lantern rings. What could go wrong?
Yes.
I still haven't seen the movie.
Which one?
Planet of the Apes. Or one? Green Lantern.
There's been 3 Planet of the Apes. Which one did you not see?
Any of them.
Not the 70s, not the 90s, and not the new ones.
Nope.
At least give the 2000 version a chance, because I will tell you, each film is phenomenal.
Well, I seen on the commercial Rise of the Planet of the Apes, and that looked pretty good.
But you got to go in order. Don't skip. Start at the beginning.
Yes. So, because I really enjoyed the last 3, I still have a soft spot for the 70s. I love the way it went full circle. I also like the fact that our newscasters was in the third one. Our local newscasters were featured.
That's awesome.
So, yeah.
I really, once I got to the point where they started to click around to the other side of the circle, those original films, I was like, holy crap.
Yeah.
So good.
And there's only one other show that's ever done it, and that's Babylon 5. It went full circle.
Where pieces connect, and that means that the idea of Perry is that you could jump in anywhere and then follow in order, and the episodes would connect around again.
Yep.
It's this like perfect chronological circle.
That's
and
pretty cool.
Yeah, and the original Planet of the Apes films were really cool that they did that. Now the new films are also really impressive, and I think you talk about the CGI motion capture work. The actors are slaying. They are so good.
So good.
Like, what are you laughing at?
A moderator of pop culture without knowing pop culture.
He's not a moderator of pop culture. He's just got a channel where he's trying to educate himself. And I'll tell you that's why we're doing AOK Book Club and movie reviews and all these other things.
Yes. I want to know when you're going to review the last episode of Lost.
So, Fire Guy Ryan, hopefully in the next week, will be free enough to talk about season 6. And then he and I are going to not talk about the episode, the finale. And we will then have the finale discussion.
Because I want you to hear your guys' take. I got my own take on it. I want to hear what your guys' take on it is. It
should be a lot of fun as long as Perry has fully caught up, because he's got some episodes to watch.
I need to finish the 6th season.
And I do realize I have more guests than StreamYard allows. So it could be a little bit crowded. We may have to rotate, depending on the availability, we may rotate people in and out.
I just want to see when you're going to say certain things, and I'm going to say, no, that is not it because of this.
I will still say one of the coolest things I learned from that discussion was when Luke of Hydra Collectibles went through and talked about the logistics of why the polar bears were on the island. All the little details that he had put together, I was like, crap. I've been watching this show for that long, and I didn't put all that together. Damn.
Now, the evil brother was Jacob, right?
Jacob is the good brother. The evil brother is actually unnamed for the entire run of the show. They just call him the Man in Black.
He's a smoke monster, too. Yes, Man in Black and the smoke monster are the same thing. Yep.
Yeah. And great actor Titus Welliver plays him. And I have a lot of love for Titus Welliver because I sent him a hilarious tweet on Twitter, and he retweeted it, and I got like 1 trillion new followers on Twitter because it was during. Sorry for people that are big Trump fans. I had sent there was a hashtag going around saying more electable than Trump. And I sent the Man in Black as a picture, and I sent it to Titus Welliver, and he thought it was hilarious because he's not a big Trump fan, and he forwarded it, and it got a lot of play, and it was a lot of fun.
I love his work on Stargate.
I'm a big Bosch fan on Amazon. I think he's a really talented actor on Bosch, and I love those books, and I think he's a great actor. Yeah.
I did have a question with Lost. So the good brother and bad brother, they can't kill each other, and then he finds a way to kill the Jacob. But what about the kid that runs up to him and says, "You broke the rules"?
I don't remember that specific episode. Where are we talking? What kid?
The Man in Black is in the woods, and he starts chasing. He's with Sawyer, and then he starts chasing a kid in the woods, running from him. And the kid turns around saying, "You didn't follow the rules." That's
young Jacob.
That's Jacob. So he was reborn.
That's the ghost of Jacob now living on the island for a short time before his spirit passes away because his ashes are being burned away. And he's basically going to his brother and saying, "You cheated." Although technically it sounds like the rules were kept intact because I don't know who's managing the rules of what is fair.
There has to be a higher power that's at play here.
Now you're talking about the idea of a scale. and you have the Man in Black, and you have Jacob, and in the middle you have the balance. And who is holding the balance?
And he went to the scale and he picked up the white rock and he threw it away.
Yep. Ooh, Geek Aficionado. I agree. Bosch is a great show. Perry is still in season 2. He's a pop culture Amber Alert. I love it. Ray Matter Hulk. Fire. All right, so I'm going to get us off the air. Thank you for watching. We went through everything, but huge Middlewest fans here and worthy of reading. Check out the trade. Give it a try. This is TJ, the Slab Dragon Watson. That is Perry Comics down below. I will later on put the links to their channels because I have not. But I think I wrote the word welcome with an exclamation mark. And that was all I had time for today. But I appreciate you coming by and watching this. And I hope you had a great time watching it. Thank you for joining AOK Book Club. Bye, everybody.